Hello, good morning and welcome to another video. Sorry, I need to keep my voice down a little bit. It is just gone 3 in the morning on Saturday the 19th of September. I'm just about to head up north to Ben Nevis. So 2 times up and down Ben Nevis today, which is going to be miserable, but the weather's looking okay, which is nice. So a bit messy, as this is day 1 in our new home, which is very exciting. I'm not going to do what most people do and show you around, as for me at this stage it just seems like a bit of a security risk. But what I will do is I will show you the new, well, what is going to be the home gym space. So we've got a single here, which is probably mostly going to be storage, and then there'll be a turbo trainer, maybe an assault bike and a ski erg, and then just about here at the moment will be either a combo rack or a cage. I haven't quite yet decided, and then probably dumbbells down that end, kettlebells around here, and just a sort of platform in the middle. So that is the plan there. Very brief overview. I'll give you a bit more of a tour over the next coming weeks, but thought I'd get that out the way. So I will run you through everything that I take in a day in the mountains in a bit more detail over the next few weeks, but I thought what I'd do to start with is show you how I'm approaching food with such a big day in the hills. So first of all, for breakfast I am about to have some overnight oats, which is 100 grams of oats, 2 scoops of whey, 250 grams of skim milk, and some frozen raspberries with a little bit of sweetener. And then let's grab these as well. So what I'm actually going to take up the mountain is just here in front of me. So for Savory Food, which is also full of salt, which is going to be key, that's where I've been going wrong the past couple of weeks. I have basically 2 whole, just cheap cheese and tomato pizzas, which is a decent amount of carbs, some protein, tastes good, and it's got loads of salt in it as well. 3 bananas, 2 squares bars, 2 sets of Cliff Blocks, an awesome protein bar, a Belvita soft bake, loads of Belvita harder biscuits, some Saurine sort of squidgy loaves, which are arguably the greatest things on the planet. And then to wake me up now, I'm going to sink some contact coffee in the car. I'm also struggling with a bit of a bunionette issue in my left foot at the moment, which is a bit of a nightmare, so I'm going to have to figure out how to try and implement these today to see if that gives me any relief. So I will give you a bit more detail once I'm in the car, but I thought I'd just say hello now, but keep my voice down whilst I am in the kitchen, and I don't want to wake Erin up. And this is the dog's first night at a new home, so they might get irritated. You never know. Right, see you in the car. Alright, sorry for a very quiet, monotonous and dull intro this morning, just in the car with Johnny now. On the way up to Nevis, we're going to stop at a service station, grab a couple things, but what I thought I'd actually mention is the other things that I've got with me. So I've got 500 millilitres of electrolytes and carbs from Awesome Supplements, and 3 litres of water in a hydration pack, and I think you've got the same, don't you?
Yep, yeah, more or less, yeah.
And in my bag, I've got the drone, I've got my camera, I've got a spare waterproof, I've got my head torch, I've got a buff if I need it, I've got some gloves, and all the food that I showed you before. So plenty to see us through what's going to be about 8 hours of work. It's about 2 hours and 45 minutes drive up there, which is a bit of a pain in the arse. I'll touch base with you once we get there.
If looks could kill, if looks could kill, one glance, long stare, easy on the eyes, moving Slowly like shadows in the night. There will be a reckoning. There will be a day. Something like your darkest dreams. The time has come. There will be a reckoning. There will be a rise. Something like you've never seen. The time has come. If looks could kill, if looks could kill, if looks could kill.
All right, so about 400 meters up Ben Nevis thus far. Now is as good a time as any to say hello and check in. So as I said this morning quietly in the kitchen, the brief is 2 summits today with this man here. Keep heart rate around the sort of 130 to 150 range, just basically building up volume in our legs and going through the motions of monotony. Nice day for it today, but that does mean that Scotland's Ben has become very similar to London's Big Ben in terms of tourist footfall. So we are fighting past people, which is fine. Just something else to consider. Just a bit of irritation if you get caught behind queues, etc., which is good because it makes this training session a little bit more challenging mentally, which is ultimately what we need to prepare for moving forward. So in terms of nutrition, I thought I'd run you through the plan. Very simple: shoot for 60 to 80 grams of carbs every hour, whether that's through sweet stuff, drunken through electrolytes and carbs in the savory stuff that I ran you through before. But the key aim is just to keep salt balance high, keep hydrated, and make sure that we're getting carbs on board, because the past couple of weeks I think my salt balance has gone off a little. So I just need to fine tune that now so that I'm confident going into November, all of which will be revealed on the 1st of October. All right, we are basically just under an hour in. First bit of food, 100 calories worth of banana saurian loaf, which is undoubtedly the greatest snack in the world. And if you disagree, I'm afraid we're going to fall out. So, part 1.
It'd be all such a thrill if looks could kill.
Right, just hit an hour elapsed and realised I kind of wasn't sticking to the own prescriptions I set myself. But for the first hour, generally, I've got enough fuel in me from breakfast, stuff I've had in the car, etc., to see me through. So, gonna have these now. Don't know how many sort of calories, carbs are in them. I'll put it up on the screen somewhere. But actually, no, I'm not going to. The aim is 60 to 80 grams of carbs per hour. I will stick to that. I'll show you what I eat as I go. But frankly, today, I can't really be bothered putting all the details on the screen. So, my sincerest apologies, but I'm going to enjoy these. See you soon.
Be dead right now. Looks could kill. Won't take something I desire. Need it back in. Passion is a fire. All it takes is just a look. All it takes is one.
Just to clarify as well, because the question comes up quite a lot, we don't tend to run the uphills. It's more of an aggressive walk, because obviously the incline adds a lot of intensity, which means that you can basically reach an aerobic heart rate purely by walking at a pretty hard pace. Running, the amount of pace that you gain for the trade-off in how much you redline in terms of heart rate, it's not that much more effective. And given that we're going to be out here for 8.5 hours today, we want to conserve as much energy and stay aerobic for as long as we can, because that way we'll be more efficient over a longer period of time rather than sort of spiking our heart rate as we go. We'll probably run certain sections downhill, but Nevis isn't actually the most forgiving downhill to run. And again, when we're doing the actual challenge, that you still don't know what it is, which isn't very useful, we're not going to be running the downhills much because we'll be tired, we'll lose focus, and we're just going to have to stay really tunnel visioned on the ground in front of us, which means that running just puts a bit of a higher risk. So answer that question there. Any more questions on that and how to sort of balance your heart rate when approaching this sort of activity? Comments down below. See you soon. All right, next bit of food, just a Belvita soft bake, which is about 200 calories worth of sustenance. I'll have a little bit of electrolytes and carbs as well, although with the weather being as it is, I feel like I should be drinking sangria instead. So maybe when we get to the summit.
To captivate and pull you in, your time has come. All it takes is just a stare to make you come undone. I'm slowly gonna do you in. Your time has come. If looks could kill, if looks could kill.
Update, still feeling solid. Starting to feel a little overdressed as the sun is out. And we are typically, as always, without learning, without adjusting, in all black, head to toe. We'd rather be hot than look like dickheads. So, some cliff blocks to keep us going. We're about 15 minutes from the top now, sort of just over 2 hours elapsed time. Again, feeling really solid. This is much better than last time we were up here when the weather was dreadful, miserable, uninspiring. Just as many people really, but today has turned out to be rather glorious.
If looks could kill, it'd be all such a thrill. If looks could kill, you'd be dead right.
Alright, summit number 1. First round of getting some salts back on board in the form of incredibly cheap childish pizza, but I'm going to have a great time. So, stunning views, beautiful at the top, lots and lots of people, so we've just hunkered down in some of the rocky bits. Going to eat this quite quickly. That is 10:30 there, so that's basically just over 2.5 hours elapsed time. Total moving time is probably around 2:10, 2:15-ish as we've dallied around with the drone, etc, etc. Going to eat this and then see you for a sick running downhill montage in 3, 2, 1. Psych. As I said, we're taking it pretty steady today, so gonna keep it to an aggressive walk down rather than running. It's also quite a difficult track to run, so seeing some people sending it down, which is the competitive side of me, makes me want to do it, but we don't want to get injured at this stage and we want to stay in the right heart rate zone. So busy summit, feel much better for having some food on board. Looking forward to getting some more savoury stuff into me because there's only so much sweet stuff you can handle, but very much on track with nutrition, hydration, etc. Probably going to have to refill water at the waterfall down there. We're going to have some caffeine now. That'll see me through to the finish. All the way down, all the way back up once more. All right, just sort of down below the halfway point, 1/3 point-ish. I'd say we're probably about 350, 400 meters from the bottom. However, given the time, we are at 12:05, as you can see there. I don't really want to be getting home too far past 8. As I said this morning, first weekend in the new house, don't want to take the piss with Erin as there is work to do. It is very, very busy, which has really slowed us down on the way down. And as we're going up again, that's obviously going to slow us down again. So we're taking the decision to exit Ben Nevis, which is over there. This is a new mountain that we're on here. So we're gonna have some food, gonna have my pizza here, and then head back up to the summit again, and then all the way back down so that we can get home back to Edinburgh in time, because it's still 2 hours, 45 minutes. So a couple bits of pizza. I had some saurian loaf and squares bar on the way down. Gonna get some electrolytes and carbs on board. I'll tell you what, it's quite a big chunk to swallow actually. Rush that. If you followed me for a while, you'll know that I eat a lot of pizza, but I have eaten pizza in much worse settings than this. Okay, so ultra endurance events are A, a test of endurance, but B, one big problem solving activity. And part of the strategy that I've implemented over the past couple of years is basically keeping as many tricks up my sleeve as I can for when things go south. So for example, I do a lot of training without headphones, I do a lot of training on my own, and those are the things that I sort of keep in the bank if I ever need them for a real pick-me-up. So if I'm really in a hole, I'll put headphones in. If I'm really in a hole, I'll say, look, somebody join me for the next 5, 10K, whatever it is, because that'll really perk me up. One of the tricks that we're keeping up our sleeve for November's challenge is the Rambling Special. So today, we're using this as an opportunity for summit number 2 to go all the way up with these and all the way down to see how it compares to the first summit of the day, just so we know how useful they might be, because on the downhills when we're really tired and losing focus, etc., as part of the mountain-based challenge that I'm doing in November, which I haven't really given much context for you on at all, so this sounds like it's making no sense, but nonetheless, we're seeing how we get on with these today in comparison, and hopefully keeping them as a trick up our sleeve for when we need it, along with things like headphones, things like podcasts, things like human interaction, things like delicious food, maybe a pint or two, who knows, we shall see. Let's be ramblers, off we go. Oh my god, more pizza, no way, who could have guessed? Fast becoming a bit of a tradition. So that is summit number 2. We have been going for 6 hours and 21 minutes. The poles are fantastic, and I think they fast become not a trick up the sleeve but actually a permanent fixture, which is a bit of a shame because I've never really felt like it was something I wanted to become too used to until I was 75 rambling through the countryside, but nonetheless, needs must, needs must. Gonna eat this. Very, very busy at the top. I'd say there's about very long way away, but about 150 people up here, I reckon. Really congested, which has been a bit frustrating, just sort of zigzagging, waiting, etc., which is all part of the puzzle, just trying to sort of build as much grit and resilience to everything that gets thrown our way as we go. I've kept up my salt balance quite well today. You're feeling it today a little bit, aren't you?
I've fucked up. We'll get back though, I'll get it back.
So we've got enough water between us to fix it. I think we've just gone a bit of a stent? Right, take 3.
I need a stent.
Stent would do. A bit of a stint where we got into a bit of a flow state and just sort of charged up the poles, feeling solid. But today's been really encouraging, to be honest. I'm going to eat this, and then actually, you know what? Because this is probably getting quite long, I'm guessing at this stage, I will see you further down towards the bottom of the hill. So, see you later.
Thank you, mate.
Okay, job done, back down at the car. I've already had my final section of pizza, section of 2 pizzas technically, but we are feeling pretty worn out. That was a long day, much hotter than the forecast was suggesting. I've chinned some water from a mountain spring, very, very nice indeed. I'm gonna have an awesome supplement protein bar, gonna have another coffee because we're both feeling pretty worse for wear, and I'm gonna be a kind person and stay awake on the drive home to keep Johnny company and make sure he doesn't fall asleep, more importantly. But all in all, good day. The poles were a huge win. We've learned some more lessons there, which we will carry on moving forwards into the event that you do not know about the details of yet, so very helpful from me. Keep you all posted on that. On, as I've said, the 1st of October, all details will be revealed. Thought I'd just jump in quickly at this stage of the editing process to touch on something I forgot to mention. So, obviously the overall food quality of that day was pretty poor, but that was down to the fact that I was eating for performance, for fuel, rather than healthiness, I guess. Not a word that I love, but you know what I mean. The micronutrition quality and volume was really low. So what I will make sure that I do around that is that during the week I'm always really strict with my micronutrition. I'm getting at least sort of 8 to 12 servings of fruits and vegetables every single day as a bare minimum, but often exceed that, to be honest. And I'll make sure that the first meal when I get home on a Saturday is rich in micronutrition, as well as sort of just high in carbs, so that I'm kickstarting the recovery process. And then Sunday, again, I'll just ramp up the micronutrition, make sure that I'm getting a lot of green vegetables, just so I'm really sort of looking after myself from a health as well as a performance perspective. So I thought I'd touch on that quickly, just because it does seem like I'm eating like a 14-year-old that's been told he can't have any sweets for a week. But anyway, that is that. Ben Nevis was busy, but a lot of people seem to be having a great time, so all well and good. It is just a little bit frustrating when you do get caught in a queue behind people, so a bit more of a mental challenge today, but that's something that we can carry forwards with us moving as well. So hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please make sure that you've given it a thumbs up and have subscribed down below. Any questions, please do just sit them in the comments. When I get home tonight, I will probably be having fajitas if I can be bothered making it to the shops. If not, I'm probably just going to chop together whatever I have. But the brief most Saturdays after a big session is just get as many carbs and a decent amount of protein in me as possible, and make sure that I'm sipping water throughout the rest of the day, and then lie in and do as little as I can tomorrow. But that's probably going to be spent painting some walls in the house. So once again, thank you for watching. See you next time.